Welcome everyone to another edition of Play It Through, and on this edition it's River City Ransom, brought to us by Technos. River City Ransom is just one of the many games in a long-running series that also includes Nintendo World Cup, Crash and the Boys, Super Dodgeball, and Renegade. But out of all those games, River City Ransom is probably the most well-known. River City Ransom is an action beat-em-up that has upgradable moves, a money system, as well as a few RPG elements. So here we go with River City Ransom for the NES. In River City Ransom, you play as one of two characters, Alex or Ryan. Now, Ryan's girlfriend was kidnapped, and that's who you're trying to save during the course of the game. Alex is Ryan's friend who's just along to beat up a lot of guys. In this run of the game, I will be playing as Ryan. Our main goal for the game is to get into River City High, beat up Slick, and save the girlfriend. In order to complete this goal, we're going to go through many different streets as well as many different areas of this place, beat up a whole lot of different gang members, defeat a certain amount of bosses, and we'll finally be able to get into River City High. Your basic controls is you have jump, kick, and punch. You press A to punch, you press B to kick, A and B together will jump, which is going to be useful in getting over certain jumps as well as getting up on higher ledges. Also being very useful is the ability to run by double tapping left or right. For the most part, River City Ransom looks like your average beat-em-up game. You have your main health at the top along with your character name. All the enemies have random names and they say different things when you beat them up. One of the most useful things, though, is going to be grabbing weapons. I'm going to pretty much have a weapon throughout most of the game. You can pick up these sticks, you have trash cans, and you also have chains. There's also a few other items, including tires, that you can pick up and throw. For the most part, though, I will be using either the stick or the chain. You can also see every time you defeat an enemy, you'll get a little bit of money. You actually can press the select button in order to go from your health to your money so you can see how much money you have. We're going to be using the money in order to either buy health upgrades to replenish our health, buy different items that will increase our abilities because you have lots of different stats in the game, as well as you can use the money to buy different abilities, such as upgraded punches, kicks, some spin moves, and some other things. There's 6 different abilities that you can buy throughout the game. I will be buying 3 of them during the course of this game. Pretty much the 3 most important ones, at least I think they are. Stone Hands, Dragon Feet, and Grand Slam. Stone Hands and Dragon Feet increase your punches and your kicks to 3 at a time. The Grand Slam increases your weapon attacks to 3 at a time, which will instantly slaughter almost every enemy, especially the later bosses and the main boss of the game. Now this area I just went up into, we don't have to really come here yet, but you can use this in order to defeat a few guys as well as to get some extra money. There will be a boss in this area later on. In order for me to be able to buy the moves that I want to buy as well as the items I want to buy, I will be grinding at a couple different points in order to get a little bit of money. But the great thing about it is there's one really easy boss battle that you can just repeat over and over again and get a lot of money real fast. As far as the enemy goes in the game, there's 9 different gangs and each one has a different colored shirt, so you can tell which enemies that you're fighting. You start with the generic dudes that are these light blue guys, and then when you get to the actual solid red guys, those are the hardest in the game. Every time that you fight different and harder members of different gangs, you'll get a little bit more money from their drops. In terms of strategy though, it's better to use the weapons or get in close, hit them once or twice. If you knock them down, either stand right over top of them so that as soon as they stand up you're able to finish them off, or if you see other guys coming, back away and then go after that guy individually. Because usually enemies can actually gang up on you at some points and they can deal a lot of damage really fast. It takes a good amount of practice to get used to when and when not to actually go after certain enemies, but weapons will help you keep distance between yourself and the enemy, and that's really going to help you out early on. Now this is the location of actually our first boss of the game. You can see once I defeat the other enemies, Moose spawns. You can see that he's wearing this dark gray shirt. Pretty much a simple enemy. He has a little bit more health than your guys that you've already fought, but usually I stand right over top of him, wait for him to stand back up, and just keep delivering hits and knocking him right back down. If you time it correctly, he shouldn't be able to get any hits then on you. This area right here is just one of the many different shop areas of the game. There's lots of them throughout, and you can always tell when you're in one. There's no enemies, and there's usually normal civilians walking around. There's actually one secret shop in the game I'll show off later on, where you can buy some really special items that greatly increase your abilities. After you leave the town, you'll meet up with Roxy, who's Slick's girlfriend, and she has a change of heart, and she'll tell you the location of Cindy. Once you talk to her, head down here to fight Benny and Clyde. These guys are really easy right now, but they're probably the toughest thing we've faced so far in the game. But the great thing about these guys is they always respawn, so this is the point where you're going to want to keep beating these guys up over and over again to get a lot of money really early on in the game. Now I'm just going to beat them up once now to defeat them, and I'm going to move on, but I'll be coming back later on to grind some money out of them. As far as the strategy goes for these guys, if you have a weapon, use it to your advantage. I'm going to be using one later on to really easily beat these guys. But try to take them on one at a time. Once again, enemies close together can gang up on you and drain your health really fast. Now, I do have enough money to buy the first couple of things I want to buy, but I can't buy them right now in the Waterfront Mall. I'm going to have to go back to the first shopping area, so we're going to backtrack just a little bit. Go past the park, and back to that first shopping area. Now we're going to go right into the first shop, and this is where we're going to buy our first two abilities. We're going to buy the Stone Hands, as well as the Dragon Feet. The Acro Circus is probably one of my least favorite moves. It allows you, when you do a running jump, instead you'll be doing a spin move in the air that can take out enemies, but it's a little bit hard to control. Make sure once you have the abilities, make sure of course you go in and actually use them and read them so you'll actually know the skills. You can also see I'm a little bit low on health right now. I'm actually down to 1 health. But thankfully I'll be able to buy health in that town I was just in. I just gotta grind a tiny little bit of money first. But my new punching and kicking ability really come in handy and really helped me defeat guys easily. Now that I got a little bit of money, run back into this town. Go in here to buy a health item. I recommend buying the hot chocolate. Not only does it refill your health, but it also gives you 1 defense up. Like I said before, there is a little bit of RPG elements, and it's really in the stat base. Every item you drink or eat in the game is going to give you different stats. There's also items that we'll use later on that gives us greatly improved defense and attack and such. There's lots of different stats and lots of different items, so it's really good if you're interested in improving one specific stat. There's lots of great guides online in order to figure out exactly what items increase what. And while the stat gain bonuses is really a cool thing and makes this game really unique, and the amount of depth they put into the game for an NES game is kinda interesting. Every individual gang member has different stats, even amongst other gangs, so even if you're looking at the lowest guys, every guy on screen has different stats depending upon their name. But for the most part, they're pretty much gonna fight the same and die the same, but it's definitely something cool that they added. Also, with your stats for the most part, it doesn't hinder gameplay, so you don't have to worry about grinding your stats and getting them up. Really just focus on what you want to work on. If you want to get attacked, then focus on that. Defense, work on that. It doesn't really matter. You can probably upgrade almost nothing and still be able to probably complete the game with relative ease if you get good at the controls and what you have to do. So you can see I went back through that second shop area, went past the bridge where we first met up with the girlfriend that told us about the other guys, and now we're going to go to this forest area and work our way into this warehouse. Our next boss is Rocco, and he's inside that warehouse. Once we defeat him, though, we're going to have to go face Blade, who's back at that park area I said that a boss would be appearing in later on. Once you get over here, enter the WLS warehouse. Now this is where our boss battle is going to take place. You have to do a running jump in order to get up these boxes. It's gonna probably take a time or two to get used to the jumping because it's not that great. That's probably the worst thing about the controls in the game. And if no enemies in here, if the boss isn't located in here yet, just exit out and re-enter, and hopefully the guys will start spawning then. I don't know what it is. Sometimes they're automatically here when I first enter, and sometimes they're not here and I have to exit and re-enter. If you're on the left side, you can walk over to the right side, and